You know, I think a lot of people out there going, well, look, we had him for 4 years. Some of the scary stuff we didn't appreciate and happened. Some of the scary stuff didn't come to fruition. But they just want a fundamental change. So I guess my answer to your question is...
Wouldn't he not be a fundamental change? Wouldn't he be just going back to what we had before?
And a lot of people would tell you that they could pay their bills then. And they would tell you that they didn't have the homelessness crisis then. And that we weren't talking about defunding the police then.
Whoa! The governor of New Hampshire went on The View and took on Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and the rest of the woke idiots on The View head on, because he said on the show to their face the worst thing that you can possibly say to one of these types of people, that he's voting for Donald Trump. And Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, and the rest of The View absolutely tore him to shreds over it. They tried to get him to change his mind, tried to get him to take it back, and he stood his ground. And he said, no, I'm voting for Trump, and here's why. He didn't get mad. He didn't, go over the top in his response. He just straight up said, no, I'm voting for Trump. Here's why. And he just absolutely dismantled all of their arguments. Let's get into this clip here from The View of the governor of New Hampshire just torching Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and the rest of The View, and telling them why Trump is the better candidate.
So you say that you're a Republican and you'll vote for whoever the Republican candidate is, even though we've... Yeah. I glean from what you've been saying that you don't respect him and you think he's stupid, but you're going to vote for him anyway. But but that's okay because you're into policy and the party. I get it. All right.
I want a fundamental change. Yeah.
Okay, but Chris Christie is a Republican who came on this show and said he will not vote for Trump again. The Republican mayor of Mesa, Arizona, came out this week Mesa to endorse Kamala Harris and urged other Republicans to choose country over party and vote against Donald Trump, even if it's just this one time to get rid of him. And Mike Pence, his own vice president, a friend of said and a friend of yours, and a nice guy, and in a certain way a hero because of what he did or what he didn't do. Are they just less dedicated Republicans than you?
No, look, if
you enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
American, everyone, whether you're in politics or sitting in the audience here, everyone has a different life experience, a different set of priorities. Some people think January 6th is an absolute disqualifier. I'm not going to judge you for that. It was horrible, right? It was terrible, right? Or the election now is a disqualifier. I might disagree. My priorities are inflation, cost of living, the homelessness crisis, the border. Other people have, your audience, a lot of people are wondering how they're going to pay the bills. They want something to change. So my message is this. Let's stop judging, well, he's doing this and she's doing that. Why don't you do this? Let's respect everyone has a different experience and don't judge people who they're voting for. Governor,
what about the part where we know that he wants to take certain rights away from people, from women, from black people, from people. What about that?
I would love for them to just one of these times give an actual example of what they're talking about. I know when it comes to what Joy Behar is saying here, she always says this, all the View members always say this talking point of he's trying to take rights away from women. And I know they're talking about the abortion rights. Donald Trump has come out and said things to the dismay of a lot of his supporters over and over and over again and said, I do not want to push any further on the abortion issue. We've already accomplished what it is that we want to accomplish. We don't want to change any of the rights around. We don't want to ban abortion permanently. We only wanted to leave it up to the states. It is now left up to each individual state on whether or not they want to ban abortion, and we're good with it as it is. When it comes to the Project 2025 stuff that I'm sure they'll bring up at some point in this clip, Donald Trump has, once again, to the dismay of a lot of his supporters, disavowed Project 2025 over and over and over again. Said he has nothing to do with Project 25 and wants nothing to do with Project 25. He has his own agenda and his own plans. He doesn't want to be a part of Project 2025 for whatever reason. But I'm sure they're still going to bring that up, and they're still going to bring up the abortion topic and use that as ways to scare people into voting for Kamala Harris or whoever the Democratic nominee ends up being. That's their only tactics, is lies, just straight up lies.
To me, that is more un-American than worrying about inflation.
So I'm pro-choice. So on the women's right to choose and everything, completely understand that. It's back in the states. Some states get it right. Some states have to make corrections, and to be sure. I think a lot of people out there going, well, look, we had him for 4 years. Some of the scary stuff we didn't appreciate and happened. Some of the scary stuff didn't come to fruition. But they just want a fundamental change. So I guess my answer to your question is...
Wouldn't he not be a fundamental change? Wouldn't he be just going back to what we had before?
And a lot of people would tell you that they could pay their bills then. And they would tell you that they didn't have the homelessness crisis then. And that we weren't talking about defunding the police then.
Whoa.
We had a crisis, but not to the level we have. So I'm just saying, other people might might put those as priorities. So just respect that.
Well, let me ask you.
And we can have a disagreement.
Let me ask you about disqualifiers, right? Because it seems like a lot of things aren't disqualifiers for you. Being convicted of 34 felonies is not a disqualifier for you. Being indicted 4 times, not a disqualifier for you. Found liable for sexual abuse, not a disqualifier for you. But you say that your justification for supporting Trump is the polls, right? You're a state governor. You're in an extremely important leadership position in your party. You're not even running for...
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Re-election.
No.
Why are the poll numbers dictating your position rather than your principles and your character and your morality?
No. Well,
No one's ever going to
understand, right now, about half of America is going to vote for Trump. You want to judge me for ignoring that? You're now judging half of America.
I don't think half America... Well, half America aren't
Rachel
Republicans.
Maddow said that on her show.
But right now it would essentially be almost a tied race, right?
Yeah, we got
so
time to
half
go.
of the votes would go to Trump. So you're now judging all those people that would vote for Trump because they have a different
But
set
I'm
of
just
priorities.
questioning you.
Yeah, well, but again, you can question and judge me. I can take it. But I would warn you, there's
I'd
a lot
like you
of
to
your
answer
viewers.
for yourself as
Because-
a leader.
Because
Why aren't those things...
Because I
Because
believe in
policy.
free markets. I believe the border crisis is very real and affecting our communities. I believe that inflation, the fact that a family of 4 can't...
Because he said it already. He said why already. Because he believes in the bigger picture, not just this individual. It's funny how Sunny Hostin is trying to single out this individual. You know, the governor of New Hampshire, I don't know how to say his last name, Chris Sununu, I'm going to say. It's funny how she's saying, I want you to answer this question for you. I don't want you to keep saying, by judging me, you're judging 50% of America. I want you to answer this question for you, Sunny Hostin is saying. And whatever he is saying, I am not focused on the individual of Donald Trump. I am focused on the larger picture of the country. And it's very obvious when Donald Trump was in office versus when Joe Biden or any Democrat, Kamala Harris is also in office, whenever they're in office, it's very obvious that Donald Trump's America was a whole lot better for most of the country, for all of the country, really. And whenever he says that, they focus on the individual of Donald Trump and not the bigger picture, saying, "Oh, so you don't draw the line at these felonies and this indictment and blah blah blah." And he's like, "No, I'm not focused on the individual." And then whenever it comes to him answering the question, they want him to focus on the individual. It's so hypocritical. These people, like, once again, I don't know why I allow myself to get so angry at these idiots like Sunny Hostin and Joy Behar. But it's so hard to watch these shows when they're just so bad faith. Like, they bring guys like this on they're just trying to have like a good conversation. He probably has a book to sell or something, but he's just trying to get his points across in a very like well-mannered way, not disrespectful, not coming in hot and fiery. He's just trying to say why he's voting for Trump. And it's because he's looking at the larger picture of America, even though he doesn't agree with probably the way he carries himself, the way he acts. He just realizes that Trump and any Republican really is better for the country right now. And it's in the numbers, you know, it's just in the numbers of how the country was, you know, in the Trump era versus how it is under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, by the way. It's in a horrible place right now. Absolutely horrible.
Can't go to McDonald's for less than $50. They can barely pay their rent in their fear of losing their home.
Fault. That's McDonald's fault.
It's not. It's inflation.
Yes, it is. Listen, it's
corporate gouging.
McDonald's fault.
No,
It's when you can't pay for groceries. The government doesn't control what your grocery
It's
prices
corporate
are.
gouging.
This is
Inflation is.
Are these, dude, there's no way. There is no way that just came out of Whoopi Goldberg's mouth. Are they that stupid? Do you think, what do you think is more likely? I just wish I could sit down in front of these, I want to say so many words right now. I wish I could sit down in front of these mentally challenged people and just ask them like a few questions that would just demolish their entire worldview. What do you think is more likely, Whoopi? That every single corporation and grocery store and fast food chain and restaurant chain, everything came together and said, "Hey guys, let's raise the prices. Let's bump up inflation," you know? Or do you think it's more likely that maybe Joe Biden and the government have made a series of really bad choices that caused the dollar to inflate, that caused these grocery stores and fast food chains to have to up their prices if they want to keep any sort of profit, and that in turn they have to up the wages because people have to pay rent and buy groceries and buy from these fast food chains, so that they keep the snowball effect just keeps going. They have to keep raising prices in order to keep raising wages, which causes them to raise prices even more. What do you think is more likely? That there's some conspiracy between McDonald's and Walmart and all these places, or that Joe Biden is incompetent? What do you think is more likely, idiot?
It's caused by one thing. What? Inflation is caused by one thing. The government prints and spends too much money. It's economics 101. It's the only reason. So that policy has driven inflation not just 4%, 25% in 3 years.
Where were we
People
when
can't
your
afford
guy
to live.
Corporate gouging.
Where were we when you're? Oh, I can't.
Yeah, you can. When
no, we got it.
Is it true, by the way, that I'm the first person to come on the show all year that actually admitted to voting for Trump?
No.
Like, what,
Yeah,
who else?
so.
Mostly they're embarrassed.
Oh, we have
Really?
a good thought.
We've had.
What the hell was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking jumping into the lines then?
Well, because you.
Well, because they won't have anybody on who actually disagrees with them, so they have to bring this guy on, which I respect that. You know, I respect that he went on the show and he said that he's voting for Trump, said his reasons and everything. But they have to bring people like this on who are like, yeah, Trump is not the best, but I have to vote for him. They would never actually bring like somebody on who, you know, fully supports Trump. They would just never do it because they know they would get absolutely destroyed. Let me know in the comments what you think about Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar having a mini meltdown after the governor of New Hampshire comes on and says, yeah, I'm voting for Trump and here's why. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole The View situation.